You're listening to the Rural Remix podcast feed, your source for deeper, richer stories about life in rural places. Welcome to Living Traditions, a podcast about folk and traditional arts in Central Appalachia. I'm your host, Nicole Musgrave. This week, we're airing the final story in a 3-part series from reporter Anya Patron-Slepian. The series is called Mud in the Blood, and it's about contemporary artists who are maintaining pre-industrial pottery practices in western North Carolina. So far, we've heard about the next generation of Cherokee potters who are reconnecting with historical methods while developing a contemporary practice of their own. And we heard about a pair of potters from Bakersville who produce their own clay bodies out of local clay dirt from their community. This week, we traveled to Marshall, North Carolina to talk about wood firing. In the pottery world, there's lots of different ways that makers can fire their work. Thanks to modern technology, most kilns can be fired by just one person over the course of a day, and some kilns don't even need human supervision. But other, older methods are still around, and for those, it takes a village. In the mountains of western North Carolina, around a dozen potters recently gathered for 10 days for a wood firing, a method that's been used for millennia. Anya Patron-Slepian brings us the story.
Outside of Marshall, North Carolina, a creek wends through acres of green land where 2 pottery kilns are built into a hillside. They're surrounded by a brick and concrete shelter filled with enormous racks of wood. This pottery compound is normally peaceful, but today it's reminiscent of a beehive, with nearly a dozen potters buzzing around. They're loading a kiln in preparation for wood firing. Alex Burrow is here from nearby Burnsville, North Carolina. She's rolling a clay-like substance into long coils and cutting it into pieces with a knife.
I'm rolling out wadding. We place it in between furniture on the shelves and in between pots on the shelves.
The potters will mount their ceramics on these wads, made of clay, sand, and sawdust, to prevent them from fusing to the kiln shelves during firing. Elsewhere, other potters are glazing their work. Some saw soft bricks, and some paint over cracks in the kiln with mud.
It's been 3 nonstop days, like 10 till dark, getting this kiln ready to go, getting it loaded up, prepping the wood, and that's just to be
The effort is spearheaded by Josh Kopis, an artist and creative entrepreneur here in Marshall. Josh wood fires all his pottery, even though it would be faster and much, much easier to use other methods.
Wood firing is a little Luddite. It's a little middle finger to technology. It's kind of a ridiculous way to make ceramics.
The potters are preparing to fire a 3-chambered Noborigama kiln, a style of kiln created in Japan in the 17th century. It's got 300 cubic feet of space, around the same volume as a cargo van. The 3 days it takes to load the kiln consists of more than the physical labor. Josh says it takes mental labor, too.
It's a meticulous process. It's like a big jigsaw puzzle Tetris game. I love the loading. I love the game of it, but it's always a big relief when it's done.
Each piece has a different shape, leading to unique challenges for loading. One potter's 30-inch tall eagle sculpture required a fair amount of strategizing.
Okay, coming in. Feathers towards the flue, right?
Definitely that.
It's like kind of like we planned it.
The chambers are loaded with several hundred pieces, everything from mugs and bowls to teapots and sculptures. Once full, the kiln doors are bricked shut and then painted with clay slip to fill any gaps. Then, a small pile of wood at the mouth of the kiln is lit with a blowtorch. Billy Ritter, a potter from Cleveland, Ohio, does the honors.
Wow! I mean, if you're going to do it.
Next comes 3 days of firing. The potters will continuously feed the kiln with wood to reach a temperature of over 2,000 degrees. Josh says this requires tending around the clock, which the potters split into 8-hour shifts.
The firing starts as a campfire, and the early shifts are actually fairly relaxed. By the end, you're really doing like an armload of wood every 3 to 5 minutes for 8 hours.
While gas and electric kilns can easily be fired by one person, wood kilns rely on shared labor. For Alex, the required teamwork and the community it creates is part of the draw.
The part that I love most about the process is the communal nature, working together towards a common goal. You can't do it alone.
Some are locals and others are a long way from home. Henry Chrisman runs a studio in Hamtramck, Michigan. He's drawn to the effects the process creates on the surface of the pottery, how flame marks and ash combine to make each piece unique.
This flame is wrapping around every piece in the kiln. It's sort of running into one and moving around another. So this, we call it atmospheric. It's like the object becomes a record of the atmosphere that was moving around it. It's exciting when that sort of atmosphere is recorded because we've had this experience together, and in some way it's recorded on the pot.
High-temperature wood firing was first developed in East Asia, beginning with Chinese dragon kilns that were built over 3,000 years ago. Around that same time, Cherokee potters in what is now North Carolina began firing pottery in the coals of bonfires and in pits dug into the earth. European potters and their descendants later brought high-fire techniques learned from Asia. Josh says this has contributed to North Carolina's history as a pottery center.
North Carolina is the pottery state. We pride ourselves in having this incredible pottery history, and I think it begins with the materials. We have a lot of clay here. There's a phrase that gets used, which is mud in the blood. And it was such a part of people's identity that they found ways to make it relevant. But I think the key is they never stopped making.
It's now around 5 o'clock in the morning and pitch black, the spring keepers calling to one another. Fire crackles as flames and smoke occasionally shoot from the kiln. The potters remove a few bricks from the side of the kiln and place narrow pieces of wood through the gaps, helping to get the back of the kiln chamber hotter. Joseph Clayton and his friend drove 14 hours from Oklahoma to participate in the firing. At 19 years old, it's clear he's caught the wood-firing bug.
It's very interactive. You have to listen, you have to smell, you have to look, and kind of adjust. It's kind of like a dance.
Josh says that helping and encouraging younger potters is a responsibility that he takes seriously.
I had so many great makers and mentors that took me under their wing and took the time and showed me, how to do stuff. That's what I do, is just every day try to pay that forward.
It's cool that they're like continuing the cycle, giving it to the next generation, just like a million other potters have done before.
After the pottery has been fired for 3 days, it takes another 3 days for everything to cool. There is a lot of thought and strategy and sweat that goes into any wood firing, but ultimately, Josh says the process is unpredictable.
The spectrum is very wide in wood firing, from complete and utter disappointment to total elation. One of the things that I love about wood firing is it can surprise you. Like, you can actually make things that are beyond what you could imagine.
It's finally the day of the unloading. The potters have unbricked the kiln, its dark chamber still warm with residual heat as they begin to unload. Henry says tensions are running high.
Today is unloading day, and it's the big reveal. People are like putting this time and energy into this elongated process, and there's just a lot on the line.
Henry says it can be stressful when so many things can potentially go wrong.
Oftentimes, a few things will sort of tip over. Sometimes there's a kind of domino effect. There are a lot of kind of wishbone moments where two pieces are connected and we're going to pull them apart and see who takes who with them. And sometimes that's like a little lovely kiss on the piece, and sometimes it's a deal breaker.
This firing had its share of devastation. Some pieces cracked, some things fell over. Luckily, though, there's also plenty of joy and excitement as the potters see their pieces for the first time.
Whoa.
That's the Nuka.
Is it?
I think so.
That's incredible.
Wow.
For Josh, the pieces that made it safely out of the kiln are a culmination of efforts.
When I think about my process, the clay and the fire are not a means to an ends. They are actual collaborators. They have an energy, they have a voice. It's not just me. It's all of us together.
In the coming days, the potters who have gathered here will disperse, mourning their losses and celebrating their victories. but they'll take more with them than just their pottery. Wood firing offers a unique opportunity to build community with other potters, step away from the bustle of everyday life, and connect with the roots of the craft. For the Center for Rural Strategies and Living Traditions, I'm Anya Patron-Slepian in Marshall, North Carolina.
You've been listening to Living Traditions on the Rural Remix podcast feed. Music on today's episode is from Sarah Kate Morgan. Living Traditions is a production of the Center for Rural Strategies. Thanks for listening.